We got YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. That's right. I'm calling it Twitter, not X, until the day I die. These days, your business needs to be on social media because that's where the people are at. But it can be easy to make some mistakes. Here to talk about some of those mistakes today is one of our trainers, Lindsay Otten. How's it going, Lindsay?
Good. How are you, Austin?
I'm doing great. Doing great. Excited to talk about our topic today. It's something we are all aware of, social media. We've known about it for a very long time, but it's just recently kind of gotten huge for all businesses, even the ones who were trying to hold out as long as they could. So now that everybody knows they need to be on social media as a business, they're getting on, but people can sometimes make mistakes. So can you walk us through a few of those mistakes that businesses may be making with their social media strategy?
Yeah, Austin, I'm gonna ask you a question real quick before
All
I
right.
answer your question. When you're scrolling a social media feed, let's say you're scrolling Instagram or you're on LinkedIn, what makes you not want to engage with the business on social media?
All right. So I'll say if I'm going to skip over something, it's because it's boring. That's what I'll say.
What makes it
Um, I think if it doesn't capture my attention in the first few seconds, maybe it doesn't apply to me, isn't relevant, or just isn't visually interesting or fun or entertaining.
Mhm. Good? Now, what would make you engage with the business on social media?
I would say if it's coming from a business account, I will watch those sometimes, and it is usually if it's creative, if
Mhm.
they say something kind of funny in the first few seconds, or that just makes me think about something I deal with a lot, but think about it in a different way.
Cool. Is there any like company that you can think of right now that you're like, they actually do social media really well and that you follow?
There is a company called Creatably, I think is the name. They make kind of like commercial videos for different products, but their videos are always just super creative. And so even though it may just be like a commercial for, I think one of their products is like a pillow cube, it's just really kind of off the wall, visually colorful, something interesting to look at. And actually, a lot of their things talk about a problem right away, and a problem that's very common to people.
And how do you apply what you learn from those videos to your work?
Yeah, I think it would be really mastering the hook and getting the first few seconds something that's really interesting, both visually and with whatever the people are saying, and then making sure you have that viewer relate quickly.
And that's really important. And one of the mistakes that people make on social media all the time is not being relatable, like
Mm,
you said. So back to the original question, we're talking about the mistakes that companies can make on social media when they start posting. And so you listed out things that in order for you to follow someone or keep going with following a company on social media, it has to be visually engaging, it has to make you think, and it can't be boring. And so one of the mistakes that companies make on social media all the time is that they try to post content, but the content's not engaging. So mistake number one is posting content that doesn't intrigue people or doesn't encourage engagement. So something that doesn't encourage engagement is just going to get looked over. And there are a number of ways that you can encourage engagement. Well, the first thing you can do is post a video. If you are not posting a video with a piece of content or not posting a photo or not posting an image carousel, then you're going to have a hard time getting someone to stop and look at what you're posting because we've been conditioned now on social media to look for a visual cue that tells us what the post is about. So there needs to be some form of visual engagement associated with what you're posting that encourages engagement. And as far as the copy goes, your copy also needs to encourage engagement. So the copy should pose a question or it should make a strong statement about something that then someone can deep dive into so that they can, like you, it sounds like when you're engaging with something on social media, you want to think about it. If it's actually going to capture your attention. And if it doesn't cause you to like pause and think about how you would utilize it, you're going to scroll by it. And so mistake number one is not encouraging engagement. Mistake number two is making everything a sales pitch. There is a company that I follow, mostly because someone that I know and love works for that company, but all they do is post about how to call them, how to reach out to them, how they can do all these things for you. And it's not engaging. It's like it's a constant sales pitch. And for this industry, most people just don't know what this company offers. One of their biggest problems is that no one knows what they do and they're not helping themselves by making bad content. They are just pitching constantly. No one wants to hear your sales pitch right up front before they have an understanding of who you are. So you need to post content that isn't a sales pitch, gives people an opportunity to dig in, be curious, and engage. There's that word again, engage with your content. And then the next big mistake that companies make is they will play it safe on social media. Playing it safe means basically just doing what everyone else is doing. And you can make a case to say, like, oh, I'm going to do what works. And if it's what everyone else is doing, great. Sure, you can have an element of that. You need to be doing things that work. But sometimes, in order to find out what really works for your business or your audience on social media, you need to experiment. And you need to have thick skin when that experiment doesn't work, because more times often than not, you're probably going to post something and it's probably going to flop. But there is the chance that you come up with something really creative and it does work. And if you didn't have the guts to post that really creative video or to post that thing that you're like, this is a little bit out of the ordinary, but we're just going to do it anyway, then you'll never know. And how awful would it be if you made something, thought it was really creative, wasn't sure if it was going to work, and you didn't post it? And then you saw someone else post something very similar and it takes off. You're going to feel like crap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when it comes to social media, you can't play it safe. You got to go for it.
I have a question on that. Where is kind of the line between like staying professional because we're a professional business and being on these social media platforms where things are a little bit more casual? And how do you find that mix?
I think it depends on how people perceive your brand. Like if there is a brand that is more casual, and more like that's what they've established, that's what they've built, that's what they've created, and that's who their audience is. If your audience is more casual, they're going to receive that really well. And that would fall in line with how everyone in the company interacts on a regular basis. However, if your target customer is not really casual and it's a more formal establishment, and like people look for that level of formality, like I'm thinking of like a business lawyer. Like if a business lawyer came out as more casual on their platform, like someone might think, oh, well, they don't take themselves seriously. Do they take their clients seriously? So I think you really have to look at your industry, look at the brand reputation that you've built, and if it aligns with your brand to be a little bit more casual, then I think you can toe that line. But if it doesn't, and it's going to detract from your goal of educating, it always comes back to, is it going to help or hinder the goal of educating your customers? And if it's going to help, go for it. If it's going to hinder, don't do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's just a little bit of self-reflection, maybe even experimentation. I could be wrong, but I feel like the stakes are a little bit lower to try something on social media as opposed to other channels. But key is just kind of self-awareness there, it sounds like. You gave us some good mistakes that people make and ways you can kind of fix that. If somebody's looking to implement these things, what's something they can do today to kind of head in this direction?
Yeah. I think one thing you can do today is, if you, let's say, have it's beginning of a new month. So a lot of people will be planning their social calendars for next month. If you look at the copy you've written for your next month's posts, ask yourself, how would someone engage with this copy? And if you can't come up with a way of how someone would engage with it, add a question to the beginning of it, or have a thought-provoking statement at the beginning of your copy. So I would go back and challenge anyone who has content that they're making a content calendar for next month and say, what about this copy is engaging? And if you can't define what that is, then go ahead and update your copy. And I think you'll see an interesting trend in a new direction. Also, one thing to keep in mind too is pick hashtags that are not cute. Like people like to say, or hashtags, you know, Austin, you recently got married. I recently got married. People have their really cute wedding hashtags, and they're like fun, and people try to replicate that in business. The fun, like creative, quirky hashtag. Don't do that. Use a hashtag that is relevant to the keywords that you're trying to rank for. So my formula for hashtags is root keyword phrase is one hashtag. Maybe a business hashtag is number 2, and then specific content hashtag number 3. And that's it. That's how social media platforms filter your content like a search engine would. Is they need to know what it's about. And one of the cues that they get is hashtags. So don't overdo it with the hashtags. Stop making cute hashtags.
Fun on your personal account, but as a business, you're wanting to be found, and that's what those are for there. Awesome. Yeah, well, those sound like some great ways to get started today and kind of get working on it. Well, Lindsay, thank you for coming on today and sharing your knowledge as always, and we're looking forward to seeing you on the next one.
Thanks, Austin.
Remember in your social media strategy to make sure that you are encouraging engagement, you're not just sales pitching all the time, and don't play it too safe. If you and your business need some help creating content that brings viewers, leads, and sales, contact us at impactplus.com today to start working with a trainer just like Lindsay.